Greetings and salutations. Welcome back. Today we're going to go into section 5.2, which is adding and subtracting with rational expressions. In our last session, 5.1, we looked at multiplying and dividing rational expressions. Today we're going to look at adding and subtracting with rational expressions. So we have the process in which we're going to add and subtract. Here's the process. The first thing we have to do is factor each denominator. That's one. Two, determine the least common denominator after we have factored each denominator. Determine what the least common denominator is. Three, replace each fraction with an equivalent fraction. That's the third step, very important step. And then step 4, combine the fraction and simplify. Do those 4 steps, then we'll be efficiently and effectively and successfully adding and subtracting with rational expressions. Okay, let's get started with example number 1. All right, no surprise, you've seen something like this before. Let's apply these steps, all right, to our example. All right, it says factor each denominator. Well, in this case, please notice I have 7 over 10. 10 can be factored into 5 times 2. I have just factored 10. 2 factors. One factor is 5, one factor is 2. Minus 2 over 5. That's step 1. Step 2. Determine the least common multiple. The least common multiple in this case is 10. The smallest number that both denominators can go into. That's in which both denominators are divisible by. In this case, it is 10. LCD is 10. So our least common denominator in this case is 10. So since it's 10, we have to do what step 3 says. Step 3 says replace each fraction with an equivalent fraction. All right, here's how that's to be done. This fraction here is fine. 7 divided by 5 times 2 is okay. We have to replace this fraction now, minus. We have to replace this fraction with an equivalent fraction. We need an equivalent fraction. Same as that one, but that's equivalent. Here it is. Keep the 2, keep the 5, but now we have to multiply top and bottom by 2. There you go. That's the equivalent fraction. This fraction is the same as this one because 1 is what we call the multiplicative identity. 1 is the multiplicative identity. So if you multiply any expression by 1, it does not change its value. And so 2 divided by 2 is 1. So you're multiplying 2/5 by 1. And that's going to give us our least common denominator of what? 10. All right? Once we do that, combine the fractions and simplify. And it becomes much simpler now. It's easy now. Okay, so what we're going to have is 7 over 10 minus 4 over 10, which equals 3 divided by 10, and we're done. That's the answer. That's it. That's how we use these 3 steps, these 4 steps here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it for number 1. Okay, I'm going to erase number 1. So I can now make some room for example number 2. Again, if you need to go back over number 1, pause the video, rewind it, look at it again. All right? Okay. Example 2. Factor each denominator. Already factored. Determine the least common multiple. Well, x minus 9, it is its own least common multiple. It's x minus 9. Replace each fraction with an equivalent fraction. Don't need one. Combine the fraction and simplify. That's all we have to do. So for this example, all we have to do is step 4. That's it. Because step 1, 2, and 3 are already satisfied. All right? So to combine the fractions, okay? When we talk about combining, we're only combining what? Numerators. That's what it means to combine. Combine the numerators. So we're going to have 4x plus 5 plus 3x plus 4 all over x minus 9. So do the operations in the numerator. Combine like terms. Well, okay. I have a 4x plus 3x. That's 7x. And then I have a 5 positive 5 plus 4. Last I checked, 5 plus 4, right. You got it right, 9. Divided by x minus 9, and we're done. That's it. That's the answer. Okay? All right, let's go to example number 3. More of the same. Follow the process. Example 3. Here we go. Step 1, factor. Let's factor. Factor what? Denominators. Okay. 2x squared. Divided by. What are the factors of x squared minus 16? You have to know it. X plus 4 times, what is it? X minus 4 minus 2 over x plus 4. All right, that takes care of step 1. Factor each denominator. Step 2, determine the least common denominator. What is the least common denominator? Okay? It's the highest value or the highest expression in which both terms, both denominators can be factored into. In this case, our expression is x minus 4 times x plus 4. So my least common denominator is x minus 4 times x plus 4. Okay? Because both of these expressions can be divided into x minus 4 times x plus 4. All right? This one goes into itself one time, and this right here goes into this x minus 4 times. So let's we determine our least common denominator. So step 3, replace each fraction with an equivalent fraction. All right, so here we go. We have 2x squared over x plus 4 times x minus 4 minus 2 times x plus 4. Here comes the equivalency right here. Times x minus 4, x minus 4. Okay. That's your equivalent fraction. This step 3 is critical. 2 divided by quantity x plus 4 is equivalent to 2 divided by quantity x plus 4 times 1. So 2 times x minus 4 divided by x plus 4 quantity times the quantity of x minus 4 is equivalent to this one here. These are equivalent fractions. Because x minus 4 divided by itself is 1. and 1 is the multiplicative identity. Okay? So I have my equivalent fractions. Good. Step 4 rather. Combine the fractions and then simplify. So we've done step 1, 2, 3, 4. All we have to do is step 5. The combination, combining. And again, when you combine them, it's about combining and doing the simplification with the numerators. All right. So what are we going to have here? We're going to have 2x squared minus, here's where you have to be careful, minus 2 times x minus 4, all divided by the least common denominator. And we said that the least common denominator, we said it was x plus 4 times x minus 4. That's what it's divided by. X plus 4 times x minus 4. Okay. So now we have to combine the fraction. We did that. The only thing left to do now is to simplify the fraction. Let's do that. Let's simplify it. All right. So we have 2x squared. Be careful here because this minus sign, this negative is attached to the 2. So it's negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x. And then you have to distribute because now it's negative 2 times a negative 4. Be careful right there because a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay? So a negative times a negative is a positive. That's going to give us a positive 8 over x plus 4 times x minus 4, and then there's nothing left to simplify. There's pretty much nothing left to simplify. I don't think we're going to have any cancellation. Let's check and see. Let's check and see if I factor out a 2 from this. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference, but let's see. 2 times x squared minus x plus 4 all over x plus 4 times x minus 4. And that's as far as we can go. That's it. That's it. So you can leave it in product form, or you can write it like in a factored form. It does not matter. So you could have stopped right here. But know that this is the equivalency as well. These two are equivalent. They're the same thing. All right? Okay, let's look at another example. Example number 4. Example 4. Let's see what 4 holds for us. All right. Let's look at negative 9 over x plus 4 plus 4x plus 25 over x squared plus 9x plus 20. Let's take a look at that one. Well, let's go back to our steps. Step 1, factor each denominator. That's the first thing we have to do. Let's factor our denominators. All right, negative 9 over x plus 4 plus 4x plus 25 divided by, we have to factor x squared plus 9x plus 20. Two numbers that multiply to 20 and add up to 9. What is it? It is what? Oh, by the way, I can't hear you. Even if you know the answer, I can't hear you. But I'm sure all of you are saying positive 4, positive 5, right? Very good. Here we go. All right. So it's going to be x plus 4 times x plus 5. All right, very good. Good. So step 2, step 1 is done. We factor each denominator. Now we're on step 2, determine the least common denominator. All right, the least common denominator is that term, value, or expression that is divisible by both denominators, that each one of these can go into, and that's the smallest value. All right, well, x plus 4 quantity times x plus 5 go into itself once, and x plus 4 goes into x plus 4 times x plus 5 times. So my least common denominator is x plus 4 times x plus 5. There it is. My least common denominator, got it. Now let's go to step 3, the crucial step. Replace each fraction with an equivalent fraction. All right, so I have negative 9 divided by, I don't want to rewrite this necessarily, I want to write the equivalent fraction. So I'm going to bring down the x plus 4 and write what it is missing. This side has it, but it's missing right here. It's missing an x plus 5. In other words, you take negative 9 divided by x plus 4 and multiply it by 1. How do you write 1? You write it as x plus 5 divided by x plus 5. That's an equivalent fraction. Plus 4x plus 25 over x plus 4 times x plus 5. All right, very good. So we have step 3, our equivalent fractions working. Step 4, combine. I really should have made, probably to simplify, I should have made this probably a step 5. I should have put a step 5 on this, frankly. Because combining is one thing and simplifying is something else. Let's combine now and simplify. So if I combine it all, I'm going to have negative 9 times x plus 5 plus 4x plus 25 all divided by x plus 4 times x plus 5. That's the combining of everything. Now we have to simplify all of that. Okay? You have to be very careful with your distribution. So we have negative 9 times x. Negative 9 times x is negative 9x. And then we have negative 9 times 5. Negative 9 times 5 is a minus 45. Plus 4x plus 25. And it's all divided by x plus 4 times x plus 5. Okay. Let me give me some more space. All right. You have to keep combining up here. Combine like terms. Negative 9x plus 4x. So now combine these two. We have negative 9x and a positive 4x. That's going to give me a negative 5x. So we're going to have negative 5x. And then I have a negative 45 plus 25. That's going to give me a negative 20. Divided by x plus 4 times quantity x plus 5. Okay, now at this stage, be very careful right here because there's something that you can do to the numerator. There's a greatest common factor. Okay? There's the greatest common factor in the numerator. Greatest common factor. All right, in this case, in our numerator, we can divide each term by -5. So if I divide each term by -5, right, that's the same as taking out a -5 times x plus 4. Okay? Over x plus 4 times x plus 5. Okay? So dividing by -5, each term in our numerator, that's just like multiplying the whole thing by -1/5. All right, and so in this case, by factoring out a -5, we can cancel out x plus 4. Top, bottom. This is what we did last lesson, 5.1. And we left with our answer. -5x divided by x plus 5. There we go. That's going to give it to us. Okay? Yeah. So you got to be very careful right here. You got to recognize that. You got to recognize that. Okay? So if we do that, well, here's the answer. Let me back up just for a minute and go back and give some clarity on this part right here. That -5x minus 20. If I were to take each term and divide by -5, well then I would have to multiply it by -5 also. If I divide by -5, I must also multiply by -5. All over x plus 4 times x plus 5. This is what happened right here to get this part there. That's what happened. That's what happened. Because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, cancel out. And then a negative here divided by a negative is also a positive. And I'm left with -5 times x plus 4 right here. -5 times x plus 4 right there. So that's how that goes. Be very careful right there. Okay? Because multiplying by -5 is the same as dividing by -1/5. That's what we did. Okay, and here's our answer. -5 is the quantity of x plus 5. All right, very good. Let's do one more example and that's going to wrap it up. Let's do one more. And we will call this one, of course, example 5. Okay. Example 5. Now let's say if we have 5x divided by 1 minus x minus 3x divided by x minus 1. All right, well, let's see. Let's see what's going to happen here. Factor each denominator. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we have to do here is connect it and link to what we did here. All right? When we had -5x minus 20, we factored out a negative 5. Okay? In this case, either expression, either x minus 1 or 1 minus x, we have to factor out a negative 1. Not a negative 5, but a negative 1. You know these two, are related. 1 minus x, x minus 1. You know they look similar, but they're different. And they're different by a factor of negative 1. So if I factor this, I'm going to have 5x divided by, okay, in this case, factor out a negative 1. And I'm going to have x minus 1. When I factor out a negative 1. Now let's analyze this. Let's look at it carefully. I'm saying to you that 1 minus x, which is from right here, there it is. This is the same thing as negative 1 times x minus 1. It's no different. How do you know that? Because if I take negative 1 and multiply it times x, that's going to give me negative x, and then take this negative 1 and multiply it by a positive 1. A negative times a negative is a what? Positive. And this is the same thing as write the positive 1 first, and then write the negative x second. So as you can see, this expression is the same as this expression. So we're taking this 1 minus x and we're writing it as negative 1 times x minus 1, like that. Okay, very good. All right, and it's minus 3x over x minus 1. All right, almost finished with this one. We're almost there. All right, now here's what I would do, and here's what you can do next. You see this negative 1? It does not have to stay in the denominator. You can bring it up to the numerator. Okay, so I would write it as negative 5x over x minus 1 minus 3x over x minus 1. All right? Let me explain that. Well, Mr. Wright, why did you take this negative and bring it up to the front, to the top, to the numerator? Why did you do that? I did it because negative a divided by b is the same thing as the negative of a divided by b, which is the same thing as b divided by the a divided by the negative of b. It does not matter where you place the negative. It can be in the numerator, on the side, or in the denominator. Okay? It's just like, having a glass of water and putting dirt in the glass. It doesn't matter whether the dirt is on the top of the glass, if the dirt's in the middle of the glass, if the dirt's at the bottom of the glass, the water is dirty no matter where the dirt is. It's the same with the negative. The negative can go in the numerator, side, or denominator. So we've taken the negative sign that was in my denominator and I brought it up to my numerator. Now I'm ready to go ahead and do step number 4, which is combine. Let's combine now. Okay, so now I can combine. Here we go. That's going to be negative 5x minus 3x all over x minus 1, which equals, now combine negative 5x minus 3x, which is going to give me negative 8x divided by x minus 1, and I am finished. I'm done. All right, that's it for section 5.2. If you have any questions, scares, concerns, be sure to drop me an email or text, and I'll be more than happy and delighted to answer your question expeditiously to help you get through the problems. So if there are no other comments, issues, cares, concerns, worries, or woes, that's going to do it for this lesson. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Stay safe.